Today, we're diving into a system for organizing work that honestly, it seems to defy all logic, but the results are just incredible. It's a story about how one simple, elegant rule can totally outperform complex management. And, it all starts with a little puzzle.
So, let me ask you this. Imagine you're running a team on an assembly line. You've got all kinds of workers. Some are super fast, some are not so fast. Now, to get the absolute most out of your team, where do you put your slowest person? Go ahead, think about it for a second. What does your gut tell you? Common sense screams to put them at the end, right? Get them out of the way so they don't slow everybody else down. But what if I told you the best, most effective system does the complete opposite? It puts that slowest worker right at the very front of the line. Let's find out how that's even possible. To get our heads around this, we need to step inside the world of the modern warehouse. Think about it. E-commerce has completely changed the game. Warehouses today are dealing with this fire hose of orders, a massive volume, but each order might just be for one or two little things. The pressure is on, big time, to get these tiny, constant shipments out the door as fast and efficiently as humanly possible. Now, the traditional way to solve this is something called zone picking. It's pretty straightforward. You chop up the warehouse aisle into different zones and you stick one worker in each one. The idea is to balance the expected work in each zone so everybody's equally busy. Sounds logical, right? Well, here's the catch. Zone picking only really works on average, like over a whole week. But in the real world, every single order is different. One order might need 3 things from zone 1, leaving the workers in zones 2 and 3 just standing around. These rigid, pre-planned models just can't keep up with that real-time messiness. It means managers are constantly running around trying to fix things. It's brittle and it breaks easily. So, if that whole carefully planned system is actually flawed, what's the alternative? Well, it's a beautifully simple idea with a kind of weird name. It's called bucket brigades, and I want you to think about it less like a factory line and more like a beehive. There's no manager bee telling all the other bees what to do. Nope, each bee just follows a very simple local rule, and somehow out of that, this incredibly efficient system just emerges. Bucket brigades bring that same kind of self-organizing magic to people. And this is the rule. That's the whole thing. It is the entire instruction manual for every single person on the line. You grab an order, you start working on it, moving down the line until your teammate behind you literally catches up and takes it from you. The second that happens, you turn around, walk back, and take the next order from the person behind you. Simple as that. So you only need 2 protocols to make this whole thing sing. First, everybody, and I mean everybody, follows that one simple handoff rule. And second, and this is the part that sounds totally nuts, you line up your workers from your slowest person at the start of the line to your fastest person at the very, very end. I know what you're thinking. How on earth does putting your slowest worker out in fact make the whole team faster? It sounds completely backwards. So let's break down the magic of how this thing balances itself. The secret here is that it creates what's called a pull system. See, in a normal line, work gets pushed down to the next person, whether they're ready or not. That's how you get pileups. But here, a worker only gets more work when they are actually ready for it. The work pulls them forward to take over. It stops bottlenecks before they can even start. And this is where the real genius is. The balancing just happens on its own. Just think it through. If you have a fast worker right behind a slower one, what's going to happen? They're going to catch up, right? And when they do, they take over the job earlier in the line. Over the course of a day, this means your faster workers naturally end up covering more physical ground and handling a bigger chunk of the total work, perfectly matching their ability. And look at this. This is what happens. You might start out thinking, okay, 3 workers, let's just split the work 3 ways. But the system on its own will reorganize everything. Your slowest worker might end up doing just 15% of the total job, while your fastest worker gets pulled forward to handle a full 50%. The workload just automatically adjusts to each person's individual speed. It's wild. So, in a way, the assembly line itself becomes a kind of computer. It doesn't need any fancy software or managers with stopwatches running around. The code is just that one simple rule, and the input is lining people up slowest to fastest. The system then just runs the program by doing the work, and the output is a perfectly balanced, constantly recalculating allocation of labor. Okay, this all sounds really cool in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Well, the results are pretty staggering. So get this. One major retail distribution center. They switched from their fancy computer-managed zone picking system to this simple bucket brigade idea. Their productivity, the number of items picked per person per hour, went up by over 30%. And they did this with no new equipment, no new software. In fact, they literally had to turn off parts of their expensive management system to make it work. And it's not just about being faster. Check out this case study from a music distributor. Yeah, they saw a 20% boost in average productivity, which is great, but look at the difference in those bars. The variance, the day-to-day unpredictability of their output dropped by 90%. So the system wasn't just faster, it became incredibly consistent, making everything from scheduling to planning way, way easier. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, bucket brigades are just this amazing example of the power of simple rules. The system balances itself, no complex planning needed. It keeps inventory under control naturally. It's incredibly flexible. If you need more output, you just add another person to the line. And it builds real teamwork instead of trapping people in rigid, lonely zones. By just getting rid of those rigid zones and lining up workers from slowest to fastest, this system turns a bunch of individuals into this powerful, self-correcting organism. And it really makes you wonder, right? What other common sense ideas are actually holding us back? And where else could a simple, totally counterintuitive rule unlock a whole new world of potential?